Well, guys, we are doing something a little unique today. We're actually going to the round table to talk about 12 Minutes, a very unique title. Everybody is at different stages. Corey, you are done the game, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
I'm approaching 4 hours in on what is essentially a 12-minute game. Scott, where are you at with this game?
I think I'm quite a bit progressed.
Yeah.
But it has taken me probably about 3 hours to get to where I'm at.
And Nate,
It's such that I know I could have done it faster, but just stumbling through, I'm making some progress.
Nate, whereabouts are you? You're just in the beginning
Well,
stages?
I'm just a baby right now. I'm on my, I've done 2.5 playthroughs, so I'm about 30 to 40 minutes in.
Okay.
And I guess we'll start out with my experience since it's, the minimal amount.
Sure.
And it is very interesting. I mean, I've barely scratched the surface. Outside of this video, we were talking a lot about it, and this game unfolds into something insane. And I love the approach that this developer has taken with 12 minutes every session and just how it unfolds. But that's kind of how I'll start off. But Corey, since you're the furthest in, I guess, well, I'll lead this off to you now.
Yeah, this was a game that, at E3 we saw that was going to be released on Xbox Game Pass. So I was pretty excited about this because it had this art style, this top-down viewpoint where, it didn't really give us a whole lot about what the game was about, which makes sense because as I've started to play through it and have finished it now, it kind of leaves you scratching your head more often than not. I mean, the basic premise of this game is that your main character, your protagonist, is coming home from what we can only assume is work.
Yeah.
Enters his apartment, is greeted by his wife, and a series of events start to unfold over this 12-minute kind of time span. And once that time's up, regardless of where you're at in this particular loop, the time will just reset and you'll walk through that apartment door again.
Yeah.
And it just kind of throws this kind of curveball at you not necessarily deal with in many games. We play a lot of games, and this is a very unique style game in the way they kind of present it to you. So I thought, we've got some great voice actors in this. We got Willem Dafoe, James McAvoy. There's some big-time actors here that are voicing these characters, and it just kind of lends to how this whole experience feels. Drew, I know you, like you said, you're kind of getting close to the end of this one as well.
Yeah.
I think I really got invested into these characters the way they presented them to us.
Absolutely. Like you say, though, right? It's all based on this 12-minute loop. You have 12 minutes to figure out everything. So you'll go in one direction and go, okay, I have to go over here because I need to get these objectives taken care of before I bring myself over to something that could be leading into something new, right? And you stumble your way through each session. But sometimes, you make absolutely no progress in 12 minutes, and you get back to the beginning again because the cop comes in, punches you in the face, and next thing you know, you're back cursing at yourself because you then start all over, right? But it's this continuous loop of, man, I have 12 minutes. I have to figure out a 12-minute game. This game is based off of 12 minutes. I'm almost 4 hours in. This is ridiculous. and the whole thing takes place in literally 3 rooms, right? Your main living space, the bedroom, the kitchen, and, part of the closet. So, that is it. This is the entire game. And it's just, it's mind-blowing. But yet you get invested into the story. And I thought the story was fantastic. That's why, I know exactly what's going on. We're not going to spoil it yet. We will be getting on some close treading waters near the end of this little segment, but it is dude, you're this close, and you go, oh man, I know what's going on here. You start connecting the dots, but you need more dialogue trees to kind of open up. In order to do those, you have to kind of go over here and get this to happen first. Then you knock out the cop, right? And then it leads into this, and then that sets that part up, and then you start talking to your wife, and then this sets up, and you're like, whoa, really? Is that where we're going now? And then next thing you know, your 12 minutes is up and you're like, oh my God, you're starting all over again, right? But because then you've accomplished those, you now have that repertoire kind of in your back pocket. So you don't necessarily need to start all over again every time you're invested in these 12 minutes. You're like, okay, cool. I was able to go and discover this part now that I already, your character himself keeps all that information for him, but everybody else gets lost in that loop, so they don't have a clue.
Groundhog Day.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, dude, I got hooked. This game is awesome. The controls aren't exactly perfect. I wish we could really just move our person around, our character. It's a point and click adventure from a top down perspective, and it's just kind of irritating. I'm like, man, just let me like, analog stick, move, like start walking. No, but you have to click, right? So it takes that extra bit of time out of the way, but it's kind of like, But yeah, as you can tell, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. But it does have a couple of little issues here or there, but nothing major. It was really the story and how that unfolds. But Scott, where are you at now?
The control issue is exactly something I felt.
Yeah.
I've long been complaining about menu systems that give you a cursor to navigate, and this is a game that is entirely that. So that was my first kind of flag of the issue, but I got past it pretty soon because I've never really played point-and-click adventure games like this. So it had my curiosity more than anything. I had to get through, and it has this strange style about it that's not terribly serious, but some of the subject matter that they get into is quite serious.
Yes.
But I think my favorite aspect of it is just sometimes you're stumbling around, sometimes you actually are working with information, but combining different items to make something new, or how does something interact with another object. For example, how many of us tried to flush everything we had down the toilet?
I mean, I tried it once.
Man, I never even thought of that. I didn't think of that. I tried drugging everybody possible, though.
Well, that's the funny thing about this one is that, you know, we've all played this game to different levels and we've all experienced it in a different way, and it's pretty much guaranteed that we may all have different endings as well. Like, this game has quite a few different endings, and they've thought about all of it. Like you said, Drew, you didn't even think about flushing stuff down the toilet. They've thought about stuff that we haven't even thought about. So I mean, the amount of detail that's been put into this game, yes, there isn't a whole lot of subject matter here as far as, you know, all the items you can collect and the rooms and areas we can travel around, but all the details that are there, everything you can interact with, everything you can look at, there's something to say about it. I mean, they've done a really good job here, and I think that's really what gets you invested. And then this story does start to unfold, and I mean, it got to a point for me where I was going through some of these time loops trying to complete certain tasks, or, you know, trial and erroring different tasks, and I was doing things that honestly I was a little surprised I was allowed to do in a video game, because some of it was fairly questionable type behavior, like hiding in the closet for the entire loop, and letting it play out because there's certain things that information you need to gain that way. And I mean, it's it's like, I don't know, like it's just one of those things where it is somewhat unsettling to a point, because you're like, oh wow, this is actually pretty serious. Like Scott said, there's some of the subject matter is a little jokey, there's some comic humor there as well, but at points it does get to very serious, and you kind of have to start to kind of lock in and buckle down a little bit, that, you know, you feel almost more invested in the story than you probably should be, because these things are unfolding right in front of your eyes. I mean, it's just such a unique experience with a game like this.
I really loved that the game would respond to the things that you're doing in a proper manner. Like, it would go serious if you, for example, the first thing I did when I found the knife was knife plus wife. And your character kind of verbally contemplates that out loud. He goes, you know, are you sure, buddy? It had that sense of humor that I really appreciated. When you're having the conversation with her and she says, you know, prove it, basically. What do you have? What's your evidence? And you just go, this spoon, I don't know. And then he has a proper auditory response for that too. He's like, I don't know.
You do get into that point and click adventure kind of puzzle mechanic where you do get stumped, right? I think that's the biggest thing. But it is, I guess the good part about it is it's 12 minutes. So you have 12 minutes to figure it out and then start all over again. And then maybe next round of 12 minutes will probably trigger something else and bring up another option of dialogue, right? It's all about getting to the right cues to unload and unlock other cues to get you to keep going and going further. Guys, I think we've talked long enough, and we haven't spoiled it either. I think that was a good part for us right now. If you haven't checked out 12 minutes, You have to go check this out. For me, this is definitely one of the coolest experiences in 12 minutes I've ever played. Corey, how about you?
Yeah, you know what? This game I think is going to be a highlight for a lot of people this year just because of how unique it is. They've delivered it so well. We got a large cast of characters here as far as, the level of stardom we have for these voiceovers. It was done so well. I love this playthrough, and you know what? It gives you the options to play back through to get some of these alternate endings. So, I mean, there is that as well.
Sure.
But I just thought it was a really well put together game.
Nice. Scott, how about you?
Oh, I love the creativity behind this and the way that it gives you options, but you're left to kind of connect the dots. I think that's really, really satisfying, and not something that I've played many times before this. This is pretty untreaded waters.
Absolutely.
So I'm very satisfied with that. And I'd say if you're curious at all in any capacity, do yourself a favor and check it out.
Nate, are you going to continue your story?
Well, the sense of mystery in this game has definitely got me intrigued, and I actually appreciate that we didn't go into spoilers. I was prepared for it, but you know what? I definitely am going to keep playing this game. It sounds awesome, and from my little bit of experience, it's just got me hooked.
Awesome. Let us know. Are you playing 12 minutes? InsideTheGame.ca.